Hi, my name is Adel Al Rahmani. I am the co-founder of Dubai Watch Club. And with me is...
Hi, I'm Alexandre Ghotbi. I'm Deputy Chairman and Head of Watches for Europe and Middle East at Phillips.
Let's try to disagree today.
Okay.
Okay? What do you think is undervalued? That's not coming up in the next auction.
No, I think in general, let's look at what is overvalued and undervalued. Overvalued, I would say, are things that don't make sense.
What doesn't make sense?
Just any watch that is made in large amounts and that is being sold at very high prices. Let's go back to our original discussion, which was the integrated bracelet steel watches, and they were way overvalued. Because when you can start buying a Nautilus for the same price as a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar,
that doesn't make
or
sense.
a tourbillon,
Platinum.
It doesn't make sense,
yeah.
Right? Because the craftsmanship is in one, and there's no disrespect to the sports watches, but making a perpetual calendar or a tourbillon is much more complicated than making a sports watch.
I think we've commodified the Daytonas, the 5711s, the 5164s, the APs 15 XX. I think that's what's happened, right? So I don't think we can look at them as undervalued or overvalued. I think that today they are commodities, right? I mean, it's like a barrel of oil, a bar of gold, and a Daytona from 2000. Yeah. Right?
You're right.
So,
okay, well said then. But undervalued, I think there's still a lot of cool stuff that are undervalued. A lot of cool stuff. If you want to go into vintage, which is anything, let's say, before the 1970s.
This is going to go way over my head.
Just look at some Minerva chronographs, some Movado chronographs, or just like time onlys. There was some very cool stuff. Look at the 1970s with the stone dials. Some very cool stuff. Maybe small in today's tastes. But I think if we look at more, let's say, modern. You can have incredible watches from the 80s and 90s, minute repeaters. And look at a triple bridge tourbillon from Gérard Perregaux from the early 90s. They were the first ones to do you can have it for under 30K. That's a lot of value for the money.
So you're talking about the three bridge from the 90s, not today's three bridges.
Well, I want to look at the original one.
Which one is undervalued?
I think the original one, because it's the original one.
Okay, because so let's talk numbers, right? How much? I know for a fact that a three bridge today will not retail for less than, doesn't matter what the metal is, won't be less than 85K, right? What would the original be today in auction?
The original, I think today is we're around 30,000, depending on the metal, 30,000.
So half of today's retail price.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one from the 1990s, which probably also was selling for 100,000 at the time,
right?
Yeah.
So while this is guaranteed to lose value over time.
Yeah. But
actually, that's a strong statement. While this one is nice for what it is, why not get the original for less than half?
Exactly, but I think the value isn't only on the monetary value; it's also on the quality.
Okay,
of the
maybe
watch.
we should have defined this before, right? Okay,
but I think it's everything. It's like what
makes that one better?
Because it's the original one. I think for one, I always like the original one better than the modern or the
What if
or
the original
copy.
one was quartz? What if the original one did not have
It's
finishing?
It's basically the same thing. It is basically the same thing, and on top of it, it's. Making a tourbillon in the 1990s was a big deal.
Yeah, okay.
Making a tourbillon in 2024...
made in China,
it's
anytime.
Great,
yeah.
But it's not the same thing because they had to miniaturize it, go from their pocket watch to their wristwatch.
Sorry to cut you off, but do you know what is particularly impressive about the tourbillons made in the 1990s, to me anyways, is back then you had to sell the watch. You had to do something that was so out there and so that would appeal to a collector's heart to get him to buy the watch. Right. Whereas today you just slap on a tourbillon and it's limited to like 20 pieces and oh my God. right? So I think the tourbillons of back then were regulated to a better degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're finished to a better degree. And I think there was more care involved with the whole manufacturing process of the watch. So be it from like stamping the case, finishing the movement, regulating the time, like all of that I think was better than today's standards, even though today we have let's say better equipment to handle those processes.
I don't agree with you on that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't. It's not that it's better or worse. I don't think that any high-end brand making a tourbillon or any watch, the matter is taking less care of it today.
I have. Bought is a strong word. Okay, let's not use bought. I have seen many tourbillons within my friends circle, and some within my own personal collection, and I have accuracy tested them, right? So sometimes, like, it's obvious how I would do it at home, right? Like once every 24 hours, just beep, like how fast, slow is it? Okay, fine. What about my friends? So I'd meet my friend, let's say on a Wednesday at 5 p.m. I'd set his watch and I'd say, okay, so let's meet tomorrow for like late lunch, whatever. And I'd like to see how far your watch has progressed or digressed, in terms of accuracy. I'm telling you, there are no accurate tourbillons out there today. And the older watches, like they were marketed as this performance timepiece. So I feel when you're marketing something to be that, if a client comes up and says, like I've tested it, like BS, like it wouldn't fly back then.
But I think
whereas today,
I think it's you can't decide. I mean, I think you
this is just accuracy, right?
You can't state on just having tested one watch.
And I'm not saying that I just tested one watch.
You have to have tested the same model from the same brand. Maybe the guy who did the regulation.
Anecdotally speaking, okay, whether it's a JLC, whether it's a Patek, whether it's a Heisek, whether it's a Ulysse Nardin, like these are all watches that I have tested. Like I can go through like a list, Breguet, like I can go through a whole list of watches that I have tested that have been disappointing, and I can also name the watches that were amazingly like spot on, like Lange, for example, Lange, okay, within 0.8 seconds, like unreal.
Yeah,
unreal, right? I mean, like this.
But Lange is also technically on a different level.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So I'm with you there, right? But like, can you say that across all the brands? Can you say that a Patek would be as accurate, even if it's a tourbillon? And let's talk about like Sky Moon. Like, let's talk about big watches.
But in today's world, a tourbillon, and we're totally digressing from the value discussion, but very happy to stay on this. A tourbillon today in a wristwatch makes no sense. We agree on
100%.
Because it was originally for pocket watches, which were always in the same position. Here, you move your right. So the accuracy of a tourbillon, or I think the accuracy of a watch, unless you're a really, geek, I guess like you, I'm a geek, but I'm less of an accuracy geek. Like I don't care if my watch is a second late per week or a 2.5 advanced per week, as long as it keeps good time. But I think in today's world, I mean, good enough should be enough. Unless you're like, what, I want my watch to be
I'm glad
regulated.
We found something to disagree
exactly,
on,
but
right?
unless you want your watch to be like so perfect, so incredibly accurate, that I think brands themselves, the big brands, you go to Curry, you go to Dufour, you go to Smith, whatever, you say, he's regulating it, so I want it to be regulated to this and that. When you go to a big brand, you have, I don't know how many dozens of watchmakers who will do the regulation. And the regulating is between X and this. And they don't care. They try to get between X and this. And then maybe one of the regulators will say, I want it to be have tighter tolerances. One of them will say, I don't care. So even if it's the same brand, you may not be getting the same thing. You can go to brand X and test 10 different tourbillons or 10 different watches, and you may get 5 or 6 different regulations because the person who regulated it had a different approach to that regulation.
Yes. So I would love to go deeper into this about, like marketing a product to do something where it doesn't, or like, see, when you throw in a tourbillon, you think it should be more accurate, not less accurate. I can tell you watches with tourbillons that are like multi-minutes per day off.
That's way too much.
And that bugs me. And the watchmaker does not care. I can tell. I don't want to name names when I'm talking like, bad about someone, but I don't know how we got here. So let's come back to Undervalued, okay? And so you're telling me, this is how we got there, because we were talking about the.
I was saying the Gerard Perregaux 3 Golden Bridge tourbillon is undervalued because for me it's a super cool watch. 30,000 is, it's expensive. We're talking about toys, but in the grand scheme of things,
comparatively speaking,
it's still affordable. I think there's one. We spoke a lot about Royal Oak.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Jules Audemars.
Okay, yes.
I love the Jules Audemars case.
I'm with you.
I do not understand why they stopped.
Jumping hour minute repeaters. Have you seen the price of those? Like 50K, 30. And they sound beautiful.
The chronographs, the perpetual calendar, the equation of time. That was a great watch at the time, and it's going for. So I think, but that case, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think Vacheron Constantin is both in vintage and in the kind of the neo vintage is kind of undervalued. Because you really get a lot of history in watchmaking for the price.
While we're on the subject, why don't you tell us about the watch you're wearing today?
So this is one of the rare modern watches that I own that are actually from a brand. Because I like vintage watches and I like independent makers.
Specifically because I know that this is so not what I would see you wearing.
Exactly.
Right?
But so this is a Vacheron Constantin Overseas, the Everest GMT. I have a soft spot for Vacheron. What can I say?
Really?
Yeah, I do, and I love this watch. It's not me. As you say, you could not imagine. But I just like it, and it's a great travel watch. So when I travel, I always wear it, and it's light, it's pleasant, it's definitely has a twist in its design. It's out of the classic, but I love it. And I haven't tested its accuracy though.
I wouldn't have imagined you to. So, is that overvalued or undervalued?
Good question.
Valued?
I think. Well, there hasn't been one on the market for quite some time because it was a limited edition.
Being where you are, I'm sure you get offers, right?
I get offers, but I always refuse. I don't even start discussing. When somebody says, if you want to sell so-and-so watch, let's discuss. I'm not I only sell watches if I have something else coming in. Mm-hmm. So I try, and if I don't have the cash, etc., or if I have a watch that I wear like once a year, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. But I'm not I try not to sell. It hurts my feelings.
Really?
Yeah.
Being where you are, I would never imagine that.
Yeah, but I sell other people's watches, not my own.
So that's what gets you your juices flowing, huh?
Exactly. No, being where I am, listen, I see the world's most beautiful watches. I wake up in the morning and I go look at things that people would dream of just seeing behind a vitrine. I get to touch them and try them on my wrist and live with them for a few months. So no, I'm truly blessed on that front.
Let's give us one more watch or brand or collection family that you also think is undervalued. Let's do one more.
So I would have said a lot of the Roger Dubuis or Daniel Roths, but this was true a couple of years ago, but now they're really catching up.
Daniel Roths, yes. Roger Dubuis, no. I think you can still get a Sympathique for like a... No?
A Sympathique chronograph, now you're around 60, 70, 80,000. Yeah, you haven't... Yeah, so... But I think... I would say there's two One is all the Lemania-based chronographs from Breguet.
Okay.
And they own now Lemania, but I think those were amazing watches. Or just basically any Breguet from the 1980s, 1990s. Phenomenal quality. But today, lower value, I would say Blancpain, but not the 50 Fathoms.
Okay.
I talk about the Beaver era Blancpains.
What, Villerais? No.
No.
Older.
Go all the way, the 6 masterpiece collections in the 80s. You weren't even born yet at the time. But, Blancpain in 1980, late 80s, they were the first to make a perpetual calendar split seconds chronograph. They were the first or second to make a perpetual calendar minute repeater. These guys innovated a lot too. And then you can have a minute repeater, but from the 1980s for 20K. Just the movement probably costs more to make than that.
Yeah, true.
So I think definitely those are cool. Something to look at. And then I would say one is the 5070 from Patek, the chronograph.
You can't be serious.
Yeah.
That's undervalued?
Yeah.
What's a platinum going for today?
Other than the platinum, which is around 150.
What's a yellow gold one?
Yellow gold is selling like in the 30, 35.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, those are even
40,
lower.
let's say 40, yeah.
Those are even lower than pre-COVID. Because I remember in 2017 maybe, or 2016, a friend of mine bought one, double sealed. I think he paid 60-ish for a yellow gold one.
But double sealed.
Well, yeah, but how much of a premium could that be? It's not like twice the price, right?
It can go high because somebody says nobody has ever touched this watch. But I'm talking about Swiss francs, so that's around 50,000, I guess, US dollars.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a great watch. They're
okay,
super
honestly,
rare watches.
At that price, yes. Honestly, at that price, it is a great watch. Yeah.
So I think we touched a bit of like the niche brands and the larger brands.
You surprised me with that one. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It's a great movement. I love the Lemania movement.
Awesome movements.
Yeah.
Awesome movements.
Yeah. Which then we can talk one day about the in-house movements. And why in-house isn't always better than outsourced.
Yes. Let's
but
definitely
that's
do
a great subject for next time.
I would love to do that.
Adel?
Well, since this has been, I think, pretty long, I hope first of many. I've enjoyed having you here.
It was great fun. Let's do it again.
Yep, definitely, in the near future.
Inshallah.
All right.
Thank you, Dad.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.